Let's travel back to the 1980s when a video disc revolution was taking place. Formats coming onto the scene, left and right, blowing our minds with the technology that would bring entertainment into our homes. One of those formats that never made it to the United States was this format you see here. This is VHD, Video High Density. It was invented by the Japan Victor Company, also known as JVC, also the ones who invented VHS. And this disc format was so awesome and spectacular. It was meant to take over the world, to be in everyone's homes. But it never happened. And the reason it didn't happen is because this came onto the scene. This is the RCA video disc system, known as the CED, a very similar technology as the VHD, but it made it to the United States and took us by storm, and nobody wanted it, and it caused RCA to go bankrupt. But in any case, it's still a cool format, and people like to collect it. So what is the deal with these two formats? What's the deal? Well, the fact of the matter is, these are video records. Both of these companies were able to pull off something pretty spectacular because they knew that printing vinyl was very cheap to do. So they decided, you know what, let's figure out a way to put video on vinyl, and then we can stamp out a bunch of movies and make a ton of money doing it. So RCA did it. They did it with a groove-full video disc system. In other words, the disc has grooves. And JVC did it with a groove-less system. But both of these are on some sort of vinyl type material. They are very much indeed a video record. This is what the packaging looked like. So this is Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Running Man. Here's another disc called Jewel of the Nile. And here's another disc example called Goldfinger with James Bond 007. To compare them in size, the Laserdisc, which you see here now, is a 12-inch optical disc format. It's read with a laser. This is a 12-inch disc that's read with a needle. This is a 10-inch disc that is read with a needle. So to compare in size, this is a modern DVD, which would also be the size of a Blu-ray disc. You can see just how much smaller that disc is in compared to the RCA video disc. And you can see just how much smaller the VHD disc is in comparison to the DVD. But if we put the VHD over the top of the RCA video disc, you'll see here the difference in their sizes. So these were big discs that you had to keep in a library somewhere, and they ended up being very heavy after you had millions of them stacked together. But they are very collectible and very fun to watch and play with. So, what kind of a player would you play a VHD disc on? Well, I'm about to show you, and your mind will be blown to pieces. Well, just figuratively. Let's take a look. This is the Victor HD 9500 video disc player. It says VHD PC on it on the front there. And you know why it says that? Because it can connect to a computer. And I don't have the cable or any way of connecting it to my computer. But it's pretty cool anyway. This machine here is a top-of-the-line elite version of a VHD player. It has both karaoke capability as well as 3D capability. And you'll see here, there's a little slot right here where you can plug in a compatible pair of LCD shutter glasses. And on a regular CRT monitor, you can experience 3D video. That's right, the TV didn't even have to be 3D. It just had to be a TV that was a CRT, and you could watch 3D movies. And of course, the disc had to be 3D as well. It was a very exciting format. There was even an audio disc format that was designed to be played on these systems. but those are a little bit harder to find. It's called AHD, and I don't have one of those to show you. But this player has some very exciting capabilities. It's kind of like a cross between a Laserdisc player and a CED player. It has many of the capabilities that Laserdisc has, but it also has a lot of the technology that is related to CED. So this one in particular has a built-in Dolby Surround processor. It has separate volume controls for the front and rear channels. It has picture sharpness control. It has inputs for mic. It has an AV remote adapter. It has karaoke effects like echo and so forth. Your controls over here, it has an eject. You have a chapter stop, which takes you to forward and backward on your chapters. You can skip forward and skip backwards, and of course your play button is up there as well. Oh, and there's also a headphone jack. So this was exciting, folks. So why didn't it make it here? Well, we don't know, but well, we do know, and it was because Laserdisc and CED had already taken America by storm, and there just wasn't a place for another system. So Japan took it over, and they did very well with it in Japan during the 1980s. This is the remote for this unit right here, and you can see it's a very modern looking remote, and it has lots of buttons on them with Japanese lettering and writing there for you to see. But JVC marketed themselves as Victor in Japan. So that's why you see the Victor name there as well. So now our next exciting step will be to show you the inside and the interworkings of this amazing HD 9500. It's a shame it's not really HD as in high definition, but it's pretty cool anyway. So now let's remove the hood on this beast and see what it does on the inside. But before we get into the inside of the unit, I thought it would be cool to show you the jacks on the back of this thing. So here we have an AHD port, which I would assume is for the audio discs. Some kind of an interface, I would assume, that would connect to something. And from what I read online, there was a 4-channel audio system that was on those discs. So we have an RF in and an RF out. And this particular RF out is useless here in the United States because it uses channels 1 and 2, which none of our televisions had. So here we have a composite video output, the only video output on here other than RF, and then you have a multitude of output jacks. So over here we have like stereo audio jacks, and then we have the surround output audio jacks as well. And maybe somebody out there can answer this for me, but I don't know what this part means. This FM with these controls right here, have no idea what those do. But maybe somebody out there can answer it for us. That would be very helpful. So of course, all the best stuff is made in Japan, as you learned in Back to the Future Part 3. But there it is, made in Japan by Victor. So of course they're on the same voltage system and NTSC system that we are in. So bringing a Japanese video component over to our country plugs right into the wall and works like it should. So very exciting. Okay, now let's go inside. The inside has a very simple yet sophisticated design. It is designed to remove the disc from the cartridge that you saw earlier, place the disc on this turntable here, and then be read by this pickup arm here. So just like a regular record player, you have a tone arm that would be represented here, and your turntable represented there, and then a myriad of circuitry to interpret the signals that are on that disc. So just kind of panning around here to show you what's going on in here. Instead of having these little belts that fall off or melt over the years, this one has these tooth-driven belts, which you can see here. So there's tooth-driven belts for the loading mechanism. And there's also tooth bearing belts that that turn the tone arm and advance it across the disc that you can see here. There's the little motor there that drives the door open and closed. You can see it turn here. Alright, so when you power on the unit here, the little door in the front opens up to accept the disc. And we'll go ahead and put a disc in. Oh, but before we do that, let me show you the little needle that it has. So this has a stylus, just like a regular turntable. And then here is the stylus that picks up the information off of the disc. If I can get my focus to work on it just right there. So the stylus can give you many, many hours of playback because there's very little resistance between the needle and what's on the disc. The disc is actually very smooth. And then this is the pickup system here that interprets the signals that are being read by the needle. You can see all of those there. Alright, so let's close that up. It also has what's known as a it's a holding screw. It's a set screw, and when you tighten this screw in, it holds the stylus in place for shipment so that it doesn't flop around and damage anything. So that's a pretty cool feature as well. I got this unit from someone who lives in Japan and was able to get this shipped over for me. And that set screw was set properly. So here we go. Let's put a disc in and see what happens. So we're going to hit the power button here. I'm going to carefully grab the Running Man disc from behind me. And just like some of the later models of RCA Videodisc, the system is going to grab the disc, pull it in, and take the disc out. As you see there. The disc drops on the turntable, spins it up, and over on our monitor here, this one has a little bit of static in the audio, and I don't know if that's due to a worn stylus or if it's due to a worn disc. But you can hear it in the background there. Or it could be a noise reduction system that hasn't kicked in or something. So let's go ahead and hit the eject button on the disc so that we can take a look at it more closely on the inside. So here's what the disc looks like. And it very much looks like a CED looks when you look at it under light. You get a rainbow of refraction of colors there representing the video. And you can see the vertical blanking in between each frame of video here. So that's a frame of video, that's a frame, that's a frame. I think there may be, let's see, 1, 2, looks like there's 3 frames of video per revolution. So that's pretty cool. Some of these discs had a freeze frame on them, but the freeze frame, actually not the discs, but the players had a freeze frame on them, but they were kind of a jerky freeze frame. But the forward and reverse effects are actually very cool, and I can show you those here in a second. So once again, let's fire it up and see what happens. So you can see here on the front, you'll notice that the one light is lit up. You can see the green light there, telling you which side of the disc you're on. Each disc has 60 minutes per side, so halfway through the movie, at some point you had to flip the disc over and play it on the other side. Somebody else can correct me, but I believe these two things here, this A and B, represent multiple audio channels. because some discs, both of these will light up, and on other discs, these A and B lights do not light up. I don't know how to access those alternate channels, but it may be one of these buttons that you see here. Alright, so if we hit play again, it's a very quiet mechanism. I'm going to turn the volume down on my monitor here. Well, actually, I'm going to end up changing the channel on my monitor, is what I'm going to end up doing. Alright, I went ahead and switched discs because I was having some issues with the Running Man disc. Apparently there's only a couple of chapter stops on there, and I wanted you to see the different chapter stops. I think the other one, the Running Man, only has like 3 chapter stops on it. So here's what it looks like on the screen. So if I hit chapter next up here, you'll see the C appear. So this is the Goldfinger movie that we're watching. Chapter 3. Chapter 4. He doesn't have his shirt on very much in this movie. Looks like on the onset here. Alright, so what does that look like on the player itself? I don't have my light on here, but you can see it move as I hit the different chapter stops. So, what is the picture quality like on VHD? Well, I connected this to a 42-inch plasma that I have in my basement, and I would say the picture quality is better than VHS. I would say it's a tad better than RCA's Selectavision Videodisc, but it doesn't quite make it to Laserdisc quality. It just isn't quite that good. It is a nice, pure, clean signal with excellent color, but it's just not that high of resolution. But it's a very steady, it's a rock steady picture. Doesn't have a lot of artifacts on the screen. The discs don't skip like RCA video discs do, or tend to do. So it has a nice, steady signal. So let's look at those chapter stops again here. I'm going to go back one. So the disc plays from the outside in, unlike Laserdisc that plays from the inside out. There's no way to turn off those subtitles that are on the screen either. Those are embedded into the picture. The other interesting thing is that you'll see there's a background on here when I hit the chapter stop button. It's blue. On side 2, that is green. I guess that's to remind you of which side you're on. There's side 1 end. Now here is reverse search. Got a very fast reverse search. Then search forward. There is no pause control on this machine, which is very odd. I guess Japanese people don't like to pause their movies. They just watch them all the way through. So there's really no way to pause the movie, like to go to the bathroom or anything. You would have to hit the eject button, turn the machine off, and then come back later. Even on the remote here, there's no pause control. There's the A and the B switch there, which are not highlighted on this disc. Now this is a slow advance forward, which I guess would be kind of like a pause. So, but you can see as it's pausing, or advancing there, you get a little bit of jitter. We're watching the same frames, the same 2 or 3 frames played at the same time, over and over again. And then there's a times half playback, times 2, and a times 5. Very, very clean special effects. There's also a times 8 on here. Oh, I have to hold it down for it to do it. Okay, so there it goes. Now the other thing is, this machine is almost, well, it's over 30 years old and it still works like a brand new one does. So that just tells you how well made these machines were back in their day. And of course there's some numbers on here, so if I want to go instantly to a particular chapter, I can just hit that number. And it'll take me right back to chapter 6. Pretty cool. Oh, you know what? I was wrong. There is a pause control on here. There is. Look here. Right up here at the top. There it is. So there's no pause control on the front of the machine, but there is one here on the remote. So pausing was something that Japanese people like to do. I have to eat my words on that one. All right, guys. Well, let's see what it looks like to take the disc out. That's really the only thing left that we have to do here that we haven't seen. So let's go ahead and hit the eject button. All right, so it lifts the disc up very gently right there, holding it in place. And notice that the front end of the cartridge is actually in the machine. That's this part right here. And it will put that back as a lid on the caddy itself. Caddy or cartridge, whichever you want to call it. So let's go ahead and put the disc back in. There you go. It happens so fast. It's like lightning. Well, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this VHD overview here. I really wanted to take my time and kind of show you around one of the machines because most of the videos I found online about VHD are fairly short and sweet. So I just kind of wanted to take my time and walk you through the system and let you see how it operates. And if you decide to take an investment in one, you'll have to get one directly from Japan. I've heard from a couple of people that said they've gotten theirs from Yahoo auctions in Japan, but may not be your best source just due to the fact that you never know what you're going to get, and you're going to pay quite a lot for shipping to get one of these shipped over here. I had to wait 2 months to get mine after I had ordered it because I chose the slow boat shipping, as it's called. So thank you for watching. I hope that you'll subscribe to my channel and see all the other video disc formats that I have on my channel. And I'll continually look for cool other gadgets to show you guys. And if you have a question or a comment, please leave that below. And share this with a friend who might be interested in something crazy like video records. Imagine the concept. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.